Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this Economic Development Community meeting. It's our first one in a few months due to the outbreak of coronavirus, and we're just starting to get back and build back with the help of the community board and the community board office, Michelle George, Julie, and everyone else involved. Thank you for taking the time. I'm sorry for the lateness. Apologize for the lateness. There was another meeting before, and it kind of ran over. And I'm looking to start this whole thing over. And tonight we have a presentation from Banco Popular about a project they're interested in having the community support, and I look forward from hearing from them.
Good evening, Brian. Are we first on the agenda?
I believe so. Yes, you are.
You're the only thing on the agenda.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Let me introduce myself. For those who don't know me, my name is Leo Garrick. I am the branch manager of now Popular Bank, formerly Banco Popular, but we go by Popular Bank now. And my branch is located at Eastern Parkway and Nostrand Avenue. We just want to thank you for the opportunity to present. We had done a preliminary presentation before, and we want to thank you for the opportunity to come back and follow up on that. This evening, the members of the Popular Bank team that will be on, our Senior Vice President, John Funaro, who is responsible for the retail branches. I'm not sure if he's on yet, but if he's not, he will be shortly. We've got Christopher Casey, who is our corporate banking manager. And we also have Mervyn Clemente, who is our Brooklyn area manager. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Chris, who's going to, I had sent the deck to Brian because I wasn't sure if we had an opportunity to share it electronically with you. But Chris is on, and I'm going to turn it over to Chris. And so if there is a quick way to do that electronically, that's great, because I'm not sure if Brian has had the opportunity to share it as yet. So Chris, are you there?
Chris is here, and we actually are viewing his sharing his screen right this present moment.
John is speaking. Is John on your team? Because we can't hear him.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry. I was answering Leo, telling him that Chris is on and we are displaying the screen. Thank you, everyone, for having us tonight. We appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, Leo. And Chris, we'll turn it over to you.
Chris, I believe you're muted.
Okay, here we go. Sorry about that, guys. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes, we
Chris,
can.
I'm here.
And you can see the slide, I hope?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, thanks, Leo. Thanks, everybody. As they said, thanks for having us in here today. We want to just take a few minutes and walk you through a BDD and an application that we're considering for this community board. So I guess we'll jump right in. So this is the BDDs are banking development districts. They were set up by New York State law to support the profitability and or the establishment of a branch in underserved communities across the state, whether they're small towns, farming towns, or communities in New York City. And the state and the city do this by providing low-cost deposits to these branches. These institutions then use those funds to support their profitability and increase their activities in those communities. that are targeted. These deposits are directed to the branch to lower their cost of operations, so they can continue to conduct and also grow their activities from involvement with communities, financial education, lending, consumer and small business. And you'll hear me go over those sections a couple of times. But as part of, so it's meant to support the branch or to encourage branches to open up in underserved communities. So they do that, as I mentioned, through a low cost deposit, but they also have various goals attached to that. As you see here on this slide, there's a number of goals. Generally, they provide you with 3 or 4 of them, and generally they look like increasing financial literacy classes, increasing affordable product banking services and products, increasing consumer lending, and increasing small business lending. And you'll see here this I put here the typical BDD goals and typical BDD results. And the financial education is really the fundamental starting block for all of these initiatives, because we then counsel the consumers and the small business owners on things such as credit scores, cash flows, lending criteria, et cetera, so they can apply and get funding from us and other banks if need be. We are then tracked by the BDD to ensure that these classes are held and that there's an increase in applications and successful applications. I'm going to move the slide. Okay, hopefully you can see that this is slide 3. Here I just provided some sample goals. We've got 3 of these BDDs across the city, and so I kind of cherry picked from one of them. It's really kind of what the BDD seeks and the results they want, right? Typically, they want us to ramp up our financial literacy classes and team up with local organizations to multiply that. So we already do a lot of the financial literacy classes in our branches across the city, but they want us to team up with local organizations that the community boards choose or that we know of, or some combination, so we can multiply the number of classes and the people that can be aware of and attend the classes. And then they want us to track those results. So they want the number of applications, they want the number of successful applications, they also want the number of ones that weren't successful and why, and they also want us to track the location of those individuals, whether they be consumers or small business, to make sure that these classes and these lending activities are going to the residents in the BDD, the community board. If you see here on goal 2, I've got in here, this is the piece about lending, consumer lending. I've got in here something we call the Credit Builder Program. I'm going to have Leo jump in and kind of describe that to you as he's in the branch level and doing these on a regular basis. Leo? Are you out there, Leo? Are you on mute?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you, Chris. The Credit Builder program is pretty simple and pretty straightforward. And as everyone knows, there are numerous programs that are out there offering, credit restoration to borrowers, and oftentimes it's for a fee. The Credit Builder program addresses those clients, those consumers who have, for whatever reason, their credit is not up to par. What we do is we create a loan, which the proceeds of which are then deposited into an account. It could be a CD or a savings account, an interest-bearing account, and the client pays back that loan over time. Typically, it's 12 months, but as they're doing that, they're rebuilding their credit. And end of that term, the funds are handed over to them. So in essence, they're saving, they're rebuilding their credit at the same time, and all at no cost to them. So we think that's a very useful program for people who need to ramp up and build their credit, and thereby getting them into the mainstream of lending, so that they're able to come to us for the standard consumer loan. So that's sort of the product in a nutshell. Chris?
Yes, thanks, Leo. And as you see here, so that's part of the sample goal I put here of number 2, which is defining, tracking, and a goal set up for consumer lending, right? And goal 3 I put as a sample here is bolster the community development through support of small business lending. So that's another typical goal in which they want us to track, define, and goal increases in small business lending in the community as well with this low-cost deposit. The business lending, they basically will sit down with us, set goals, see what we did, in the current year, sit down with us and look to get healthy increases in those numbers, driven off, as I mentioned, the financial education classes, which we do with both consumers and small businesses. And then they review those results at the end of the year. So they set the goals, and then they review the results at the end of the year, because this is an annual application. Every year it's looked at, possibly renewed depending on the results of the branch and its achievement of the goals they set out at the beginning. So reviewed annually. So the whole process, I'll walk you through that. It's multiple steps. So the process is we seek support from the community board, which is what we're doing right now. Then we go to get the approval from the borough president as well. And then we identify with the community board's help and also with knowledge we have of local community organizations to work with, like I mentioned, to multiply the work we do in the community. And then we sit down with the BDD. They go through our books. We set up goals. Those goals, as I mentioned, for financial education and lending. We then submit the application to the BDD. The BDD then comes back to the community board and those community organizations to meet and ensure that we're all on the same page. What we've set in the application is what they're supporting, what they want, and what the community board wants to see happen in their community. And then they approve that deposit if everything goes well, and the city matches it. And then, as I mentioned, this process is an annual process. So those goals, all the criteria they put into the application is then reviewed on an annual basis for a 1-year extension. I'll change the slide to slide 4. And this is really kind of a summary of what we do with the communities across the city. We would not even be considered for a BDD unless we were already heavily committed to our communities, heavily involved. So this kind of gives you a summary of that. And also providing a range of low-cost and sometimes no-cost financial services and products. And I kind of just list some of those activities here. And those are also incorporated into the BDD application and with community board support and the community organizations that we partner up with. And then the last slide is really just this is slide 5. You're following along. This is just the range of products and services. Here we again mentioned the credit builder that Leo mentioned. This is just a summary of the products and services we offer. Again, those products and services are reviewed closely by BDD to ensure pricing is low or no cost. We'll provide those services, and that's also tracked. How much of the checking accounts and deposits and CDs and credit builders were used during the course of the year by residents of the BDD. And then I'll put at the very end here just kind of a summary of who we are. As you mentioned, used to be Banco Popular, now Popular Bank. This is just some of our financial statistics. So with that, any questions? I kind of went through that pretty quickly. So want to make sure there's time for questions. I actually didn't ask, how much time do we have on the agenda?
We have enough time for questions. Does anyone
Okay.
have any questions that we can present to Bank of Poplar? Anybody have anything that they wanted, they're curious about or interest about?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
Can you just please address, let me know who I'm speaking to, please?
Can I ask my question?
Yes, just please announce yourself.
Okay, hi. This is Kim Robinson with Councilmember Sam Ancree Samuel's office. And you were talking about the loan program. I just want to make sure that I got it clear. So you said you created a loan. So that means that that person is borrowing money, or is it it's like monopoly money?
Are you talking?
So, Chris, I can take that and just recap it for everybody. So basically, we work with the Department of Finance, and what they have is a business development district. So they identify areas within the New York metropolitan area that require some support when it comes to banking. And what they've identified is areas within the city that don't have as many as other. And so our bank falls into that area, which falls into the Community Board 8. So what we try to do is align and work with you to meet your financial goals. Now, some of the examples that Chris had given you are some goals that have been set with other boards to help you meet your goals in Community Board 8, right? So that what we try to do is teach the underbanked how to bank, and we have financial training so that we teach them what a checking account is, how to use it, what to do. Then we have these products such as the Credit Builder, which is unique to us at Popular. So someone who doesn't have credit, we help them to build credit, because you can't get credit unless you have credit, right? And most of the time it's like a catch-22. You have this person who has gone to school, educated themselves, they're moving in the right direction, but they don't have that ability to have credit reporting so that they could get a loan or move further in life. So what we do is they make the deposit with us, they borrow against those funds, pay it back. That creates credit for them. And then from that, they're able to grow, and then we help them to get mortgages and so on and so forth. So that's an explanation on the consumer side. On the business side, we do a lot of the same thing. We do some financial training, and we help businesses to understand their cash flows, to know what they need to do. Because sometimes in a business, you could have a great business, but you don't have the working capital to make it grow. And sometimes we can identify that and help businesses within the area as well. So what we'll do is work with you. We come up with these goals, collaborate together, come up with the goals. They get approved by the Business Development District, which is the Department of Finance. And then we'll have to go out and get some letters of support from businesses and maybe some nonprofits in the organization that would state that, hey, we think Popular is great in our community and a bank that we want to stay in the community, and that we believe they can help us to further develop and offer some banking services to the underbanked in our area. And so in turn, what they do is they put a deposit in our bank, which helps us because it's all about profitability, right, within our branches. So if we can't remain profitable, then we can't stay in a community. So what they do is put the deposit. That helps us to be profitable so that we can stay in the community and then help the community in the ways that I've discussed. Has that helped the way I've explained that, or do you have further questions?
That actually, yes, I probably must have stepped away and didn't hear, but thank you. Just so you know, because the council member also covers Community Board 16, there is, you guys are right there on Pitkin. So we did something similar, so.
And at Pitkin, we worked very closely with their community board, and over there, and it really is working out, and we're there to help the community, and we want to stay in these communities. So we've made a commitment to stay in these communities, and we're trying to help. We're working with the Department of Finance and trying to get more designations and moving forward. And we know in some areas, like Amalgamated Bank is moving out, and so we're trying to take over theirs as well and help those communities. So what we're at the board is asking for approval so that we can move forward with an application, and then we'll all work collectively, the community board as well as the bank and the Department of Finance, to get a BDD designation. So that's what we're here to ask for tonight, is approval to move forward with trying to get a designation for the area.
Hi, this is Sharon Wedderburn. I think you answered one of my questions already. What are the characteristics associated with a low-cost deposit? Because certainly that answers the question of what's in it for you. But there's a particular interest in this community around supporting businesses and supporting people, having them move into home ownership. So it's a credit building process. So even though this is coming to Banco Popular's branch that's located at Eastern Parkway and Nostrand Avenue, can you tell me, is there a limit as to the geographic area for participants in programs that we identify or we co-create?
So the B determines the area. Now, if you fall in a footprint, which our branch does, then you can be designated. If you're not in a footprint, we could go to the to the Department of Finance and ask them to create a new designation if you believe in a different community board that it's a service that's needed and it needs to be designated as a BDD so we can get more banking and more opportunities in that area.
And this could be ancillary to this proposal.
Yes.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
Please announce yourself, please.
Yeah, my name is. I'm curious to find out, is there a threshold for a business or an individual deposit? And would that determine the type of loan maybe a business or an individual will get? Or is that predicated on a certain amount that the borrower or the depositor will have to reach before they can get any type of loan from you guys?
So it's not necessarily on a deposit dollar, right? It's on their credit, and that's how we try to help them to build their credit. So if it's based on credit, we do offer SBA programs, so we can help with that as well. Like we were very involved in the PPPs, and we've given out a substantial amount of loans for the PPPs, so we've been involved in that. So it depends on each individual business and where they're at and what their credit worthiness is at that point. We may help them to build up, or they may be credit worthy and we may be able to just move forward with an application at that point. But that's how we try to help the business owners determine what they can do and give them guidance, and sometimes, get them in an SBA program where there's less stringent requirements for them to get a loan.
So this would apply to this would also apply to small business, yes?
Yes. So we try to help small businesses as well as consumers.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
This is Mark Thurton. With your bank, this BDD program, will it be your only bank that's within our community board, or could we have multiple banks participating in that in our community board?
They usually only designate one bank to an area. That's what I've seen in the past.
Okay, and what other banks would be eligible for our community board?
They would have to apply like we are and come to you and know the program and try to work with the Department of Finance and the BDD.
Thank you.
But we think that our experience in other areas will definitely help them, that we can leverage that in your community as well and get the program going as soon as we can.
Yeah, other banks need to have the range of products, the low cost products, and also have a history of working with the community already. So those are some of the other criteria.
I have a question. My name is Celine. I'm the owner of Sweet Brooklyn, well, co-owner of Sweet Brooklyn Bar and one of the co-founders of Notion Avenue Farm Association. We work closely together with Mark Thurton of the community board. I guess my question to you is, do you have a community liaison coming out to some of the bars and restaurants and small businesses along the corridor that's right in your district to really discuss these loan opportunities in layman's terms, so that in a way where it is effectively introduced, where they can be approved, in a way where you can be approved, not necessarily just confusing. We kind of need layman's terms guidance in how to be approved in Black and brown neighborhoods where people don't come out and give us this verbiage on how to be successful in our own right.
That's exactly what we try to do. So what we do is we come out and do financial literacy programs and try to educate individuals as well as business owners so that they're more educated on, banking products, both on deposit side and lending. And then we try to guide them through the application process where we can help them. And we could work with the community board to determine how you would like us to outreach, right, to your community and what you think is the best way of outreaching. And so that's where we would work together and set, you may say to us, hey, look, we have a meeting monthly at such and such group, and we'd like you to be there and participate and offer and set up a table and explain, things to people. We could then do that, and then from there make appointments, bring them into the branch, go through the process with them and have a discussion with them to further, determine what their needs are.
I have one more question. So as far as myself, we've been approved for the EIDL, the PPP. This got us the worst part of the pandemic. In the last 8 weeks, I can personally, we've been hit very, very hard with 85% capacity and it being unsustainable. Is there a program coming out, or maybe will your bank possibly be spearheading something new, just in regard to another set of funding that is similar in regard to the payment plan, the interest rate, and the repay, the time, the length in time where we're allowed to repay the loan? Because as it stands right now, if NYC has to continue able to sustain ourselves, especially as the weather gets worse and worse.
So there are some other programs such as the Main Street program. You would have to apply for that, but that's another SBA program that we could look at for you to see if you qualified for that and what your needs are. You already got the PPP, right, is what you're telling me?
We got the PPP and the EIDL, and I find that a lot of our maybe not a lot, but maybe 50% of our counterparts were able to get those loans. So the 50% of us that did get it survived. We're okay, but now we're hitting another threshold of just being in a bad situation where our numbers look back to when we opened up 5 years ago. Doesn't sustain the business. from, years later. In addition, then you have other businesses who didn't get the PPP or the EIDL because they weren't properly notified educator, whatever their situation was. So those are two very, very, very different scenarios. And my current situation is, yes, we were approved for both, and therefore we no longer are able to qualify for other funding the way pandemic is set up at this very moment. Because anything that says if you got the EIDL and the PPP, you don't qualify. So how does that get when when we made our way, we did what we were supposed to do, we have all our receipts, did good business, and then the winter hit us, and we're at 25%, which is really just as bad as not. So what do we do?
I'm gonna chime in here, and I think this is more of an offline discussion. And I can put you in touch with Leo at the branch, and you can talk more in detail about this. At the present moment, we're going to stay on topic as far as the bank is looking for approval and wants to operate the BBD inside the district. That's really what we're focusing on at this present moment.
Right.
Does anybody
Question?
have any questions that they would like to ask with this presentation?
It's Mark Thurton again. With your outreach to the community, how is that done? Is it done by just the meetings, the virtual educational meetings? Are you willing to help to do that, or you do that now?
So yes, we are willing to do that, and we're willing to, work with you on what you think is best for your community. So we would determine together what's the best outreach to help people in your community.
Like you said, what organizations you want us to work with? What business carters you want us to target? Those are the kind of things we'll work with you in this.
Okay. And you said that you guys work with Pitkin Avenue. Do you have like a portfolio on your progress that was done in that commercial district?
Are we on the year yet, Chris, where we have what we've accomplished so far? I don't think we have that.
I think we were in like the 7th or 8th month. Our Pitkin branch got designated BED and got the funding. I think October of last year. So we're close to a full year review. We can certainly share some of the summary numbers with you.
Thank you. That would be appreciated.
Okay.
Are there any more questions that we'd like to present to the gentleman, Banco?
So Brian, this is Sharon.
I have one last question that.
No, go ahead, Hector.
So I have one last question that really intrigues me about this proposal. So this district has been hit hard in terms of businesses and their survival. And you mentioned quite a bit about workshops and what you're willing to do to the business community, not only in this area, but I guess, if you will, throughout the district that can come and actually take advantage of this. But I'm curious to find out whether or not part of your plan is these workshops include helping these businesses that are either starting or they are in the middle of running their businesses with the many different services that, they could use, like lease review, for example, legal, accounting issues. All of these are services that a lot of these businesses don't have. And so if you get this accreditation of the BDD, I mean, I will be expecting to see some of those things. Loan application assistance, for example. I don't necessarily want to see somebody with a business in the district to be referred to the BA, but I would like to see more local help for these businesses.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the core of the BDD, meaning they take a look at what our branch has done to date when it comes to small business lending, consumer lending, financial education, and they will set increased goals for all those categories of business lending, consumer lending, and as we mentioned, all types of financial literacy classes, whether it's businesses or consumers, credit ratings. So that is worked with the community board, meaning when the application is assembled, we reach out to you guys for input about where you want our efforts directed towards. And then the BDD sits down with us, goes through that, and comes back to the community board to confirm all that.
Hey, Brian, it's Sharon. I'm jumping in. And forgive me if I'm not overstepping, I don't think, but I think it's a great opportunity that we have with Popular Bank. One of the things I think is incumbent upon the community is to more within the committee's work is to identify specifically what we need to be targeted. It is absolutely attractive to have an opportunity to help both commercial, small business endeavors, as well as helping to rebuild personal credit. But we need to sit down and talk about what groups are existing and how we want to see this application be supported. Because after all, the purpose of their participation, Popular's participation, is for them to be able to acquire low-cost deposits. And we certainly want to be able to make ourselves available of this money. So my questions would be directed to both Brian and to the Popular team. What is the next step that you require of the community board should this committee decide to support your application?
Well, this is Brian speaking right now. And I truly believe that we have to get together and talk and let them know what services that we need, what the community needs, and what we expect as far as services from Banco. This is a conversation that I have to sit down and talk with Leo and the other people, and with the board office, and with the chairperson as well. And I
wholeheartedly agree. Can we talk about what kind of timeline Popular is looking from us, and that would drive our activity?
Yeah, so I think I can add to that. So what our request is, first, we need board approval to move forward with an application. Then once we have the application, we begin to work with you. There'll be a session where we work at the table together, and we actually will discuss with you what are some of the goals that you would like to see and need to see for your community board. And then they're going to make sure that we're aligned before they would approve us for a BDD designation. So if we never get to that point where you tell us what your goals are, we've got our goals put together in our application, that matches, and then it gets approval. Chris, is there anything you want to add to the approval application process?
Yeah, as part of that, we're also seeking input from you at that table about what organizations you want us to work with. And then we, as part of that process of putting the application together, we reach out to those organizations and get them aligned to what they want from us, and put that into the application as well. So then the BDD brings all those parts together, reaches back out to make sure that the community board and those community organizations are in line with what the application is seeking.
Assuming all goes smoothly, do you have a target date for launch?
Well, I would say
3 to 4 months to,
yeah, I would say from
see
today,
something happen.
Yeah, from today to full approval, 3 to 4 months, like John said.
Thank you.
And as far as direct, so this is Brian Solms again. As far as contact, our direct contact is at the branch level or is this at the corporate level? I mean, as far as the process of this through, is it more reaching out to you at the corporate level or should we just continue dealing with everything at the branch level?
Whatever you prefer. If you don't have all of our emails, Leo, let's send an email after this meeting with everyone's email. And Brian, you're free to contact any one of us or all of us to begin the process. What we do need first, though, is an approval from the board. So I don't know if there's something you want us to do in order to get an approval from the board to move forward.
In the beginning, I explained this was one of our first meetings in a while. Fortunately, tonight we do not have a quorum, but I'm going to defer this back to the chairperson as far as how can get this going and move it, and with the chairperson and the district office, and I'll get back to you on that. But I did have a few questions that I feel from the residents of the community. And one of the questions were, how long has this program been around? And then why is it now just coming into the community at this present moment?
Unmute yourself, John. You got to unmute yourself. I'll be mute.
I apologize. Sorry about that. So it's been around for a while. I'm going to say at least 10 years that I believe the program's been in place. And so at Popular, we're starting to realize that a lot of our branches fall in these districts. And since we're used to dealing with the communities, we think it's our perfect opportunity to work with each individual community that we have to set goals and obtain goals and to help the communities further than we have, and to also help us to be able to stay in the communities that we've been a strong part of over these years, because it helps us financially.
And the other question, I'm not sure if I got it correctly, was, is this an annual process that we have to go through? Or what is
we get annually after it's approved. They will come to us annually and do a review based on the goals that we set to make sure we attain them and verify that we are working well together and making sure that we are fulfilling the needs and the meeting the goals that were set in the original application. So it's a review from the Department of Finance. On the bank.
Okay.
Sure.
From my last understanding from the previous presentation, there's a matching fund from the state and from the city. Am I correct?
Yes, there are two funds that we could get.
Yes, it's a state program, but the city then jumped in and started matching the state funds.
Question, Brian?
Sure, go ahead, Mark.
This is Mark Curtin. What is the time that you need to submit this application? Are we on a deadline or something?
There's no time, but the sooner we get started, the sooner we move to approval, and then the sooner we begin to, further assist in the development of your community.
Excuse me, someone's got an open mic with rustling papers.
Thank you. That's our chairperson, Ms. Titus. Can someone please mute the mic? And does anyone else have any other questions they'd like to present to the gentleman in here?
I'm sorry, Brian, one more question. John, so you've done this in what other locations you've been in the city? Would you be able to, give that information?
Of course. So we're in East Houston area. We're up on East Tremont Street in the Bronx. We're in Connecticut Avenue. And we're working to try to help out 149th Street as well. And is there anything I missed, Chris?
116th Street.
Yes, 116th Street in East Harlem.
Okay. And what other banks are in competition with this kind of program?
I didn't hear that, so can you repeat that?
Yeah. What other banks are in competition for this BDD program?
I haven't seen, I mean, it used to be amalgamated, but they are stepping out of the communities and actually closing branches. So I'm not sure what other branches or banks are doing this at this point.
Thank you.
Okay, I just want to break in real quick. I just for clarification, housekeeping, I just want to just know the telephone numbers ending in 92 and 47. Can you please announce yourselves so I know who's on the line, please?
Cell phone callers, you have to unmute yourself. Tell us who you are if your cell phone is ending in 92.
Okay, while we wait for that, Madam Chairperson, do you have anything that you want to, any questions you want to ask? Or is there anyone else who want to present any questions, any inquiries, or anything that you want to find out about this program, the BDD program?
Thank you, Mr. Saunders, for allowing me
Hello.
to speak. I'm sorry I'm late. I was attending another meeting, Housing Committee with HPD, presenting to a joint meeting of Housing and Land Use. I'm very glad that CBA is stepping into the arena for a banking business district. I hope that we can get a copy of the presentation from Popular sent to us so that we'll have that for reference. And I hope that none of the branches that are being talked about on Crane's New York Business, where Popular branches are being closed, are branches in our area. I don't know if that was addressed earlier. But thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm very glad it's happening. Oh my goodness. Whatever we can do to help make this happen will be great, especially given all of the financial and economic harm that the pandemic is causing to our local business community.
We appreciate your support there, and I can tell you that our branch, it will remain at Eastern Parkway. We are going to retain that branch there, so you're in no jeopardy of losing the branch that is currently there.
Thank you. Will we be able to get a copy of your 6-page presentation that you're showing here?
Yes, we can. Chris, I think you already sent that
Here it is.
to
Yeah.
Leo, and Leo can send it over to Brian, and Brian can share it accordingly.
Yes, ma'am. I have a copy of it. I can forward to you as soon as.
Thank you both very much.
I just wanted to give another opportunity for people in the community, residents, or community board members, if they want any other questions, and also to give that person on 9 a chance to identify themselves and just move forward.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for allowing us to present tonight. And we look forward to working closely with you and hope that we can get a BDD designation here at the branch and help the community grow.
Brian,
Well,
thank you for the access, and we certainly hope to continue this conversation soon.
Brian,
Yes.
I'll
Yes.
tell you, let you know I'm here, Miss Kenzie.
Oh, how you doing, Ms. Kenzie? Thank you. Well, I just want to say thank you also to the guys, Chris, John, Leo, and I'm leaving out a name, but the guys from
Mervin.
Mervin, yes. Just want to say thank you for presenting this. I want to thank our members of the community, and see how we can move forward. I'll get in touch with the office and see how we move forward and how we can present as far as a whole board at the next next time. I'll defer to the board and to the chairperson and see how we can move it and see how we can support it. Banco Popular has been in our neighborhood for a long time. It's been a staple in our neighborhood, and we'd like to see it continue. We'd like to see it grow with us during this economic times and times of change. So look forward. I thank everyone for their time.
Let me ask you a question before you close, Chairman Saunders.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there going to be a vote tonight on this item to present it to the full board for support?
As far as I know, we do not have a quorum of the membership, and I was going to defer to the office and yourself as far as bringing it presented to the board, the full board at a later time.
Okay, so that's one thing. What does Popular need from us to get the ball rolling on their end?
First, they have to get the support, and then move towards the borough office. I'm gonna let them answer that.
So we will need the board approval. So once you get that, then we can move ahead and begin the application process. And that's the next step. So Brian, once you let us know, we'll be more than happy to move forward. If there's anything we can do in the interim, please let us know.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ethel.
Are there any more questions that anyone wants to ask at this present moment before we end this meeting? Does everyone have a clear understanding of the BDD? Okay, I just want to say thank you to everyone, and I appreciate your time and to coming on this meeting. And I look forward to having several other meetings as far as economic development. Gentlemen from Banco Popular, I thank you for your time as well. Great presentation, and everyone have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, all. Thank you all for coming.